All right, welcome, welcome. This is our second interview of my vendor list, and I'm so excited to introduce you guys to a friend of mine that I have known for over a decade now. We actually met in community when our babies were really little. And if you've followed me for any amount of time, you will know community is everything to me. Family first, but then community is pretty important and pretty high up there. So when I got the opportunity to work with Rachel, it was like a full circle moment of the beginning of our life as becoming moms to where we are now, 10 years into parenting plus. So, Rachel, you are a mortgage advisor with Fairway Lending, and you and I have done multiple deals together, and we love it. We are having so much fun doing this, but I'm really curious. I have a list of questions. Are you open to answering them and hanging out with me for a little bit?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. First question. How long have you been in business? And what makes your company unique compared to others? We have plenty of options to go with mortgage advisors, brokers, lenders, and they're all different. What makes you special, and how long have you been in business?
Thank you. So I've been with Fairway Mortgage since September of 2021, and I had gotten back into mortgage business after not being in real estate since 2008. So I did do 5 years plus of real estate and mortgage in San Diego back from like 2003 till 2008. And then when that 2008 stuff was happening, I got out and got back into my ESL teaching and did that for almost a decade. And so I do love working with people where, English might be their second language, and I can really help them through the loan process and have experience with that. But Fairway's culture is all about the people
Yeah.
and both our clients and us as employees for Fairway Mortgage. So we have a huge culture on giving back. We give away like 50 service dogs a year to our vets, and we honor our men and women who are deployed every single Friday by wearing red.
Yes.
And so that's really been awesome. I have a lot of family who were in the military in the past, who was in the military. And then, yeah, we do care packages also for anybody who's dealing with, illness and that kind of thing. So I've been able to send out a handful of care packages to people who've lost a loved one or are going through, different ailments or illnesses. And I just think like what really sets us apart is that we really care, and I'm going to work hard to protect my buyers, where like other agents, contractors, other people in the business might like try to get over on people, and so I just really work hard on empowering them and advocating for my buyers, first time home buyers, and also repeat buyers.
Yeah, that's a huge part of all of this is our integrity and what we do behind closed doors when nobody's looking. It matters that we are still good people, even when nobody is there to check up on us. And I know you and I both work from home a pretty predominant part of the time. So that level of integrity has to be intact at all times. I love what your company is doing with community service. I did not know all of that was going on behind the scenes this whole time. And those little touches make all of the difference for our clients and potential clients. So I'm super happy to be partnered with somebody that has such values, which leads me to my next question. What is your company's core values, and mission that influence how you work with your clients?
Well, number one is humility. So I just think that that's very important. We're not like know-it-alls in this business. Like, yes, I'm the numbers cruncher, but I really want to sit down with my clients and figure out what their goals and dreams are, for themselves and their families. And then, a lot of, talking about money. So getting their credit score optimized so that opens up more doors and better interest rates, and then really educating, which is another core. I think we have 10 or 12 core values, but education is one. So that's a big one. And having fun, like making it, people have a lot of shame around credit score and their finances. And so I just feel I can step in and kind of take some of that away, take some of that worry away. Nobody needs to feel bad about past. I mean, Yeah, I had to go to consumer credit counseling when I was in college and had a bunch of credit cards thrown at me. So yeah, humility, having fun, educating, those are some of the main core values that I really live by and just love. It's really where I find my passion in this.
And we are so grateful for it because as real estate agents, we don't know everything on the lending side, and we need somebody that is very well educated, that has the patience and the grit to really walk some of those hard paths with our clients. We know that not everybody is set up right from the get-go to buy a house, but we rely so heavily on our finance number crunchers to get some of that figured out for our people. So we are so grateful for you guys.
Thank you.
So I'm curious what particular specific services you offer that are most beneficial to home buyers when it comes to the lending side of things. I know you guys have a lot of packages and a lot of things that you work with on your side with products, but what are some of the most beneficial ones that you offer?
Well, I think low money down loans, especially in this market, it's a buyer's market out there. So I mean, every single buyer I've helped in the last 3 to 5 months has gotten some kind of seller proceeds to go towards a portion or all of their closing costs. That's huge because that really cuts down on the cash out of pocket. We can get people into a new home with as low as $1,000 verified in the bank. I mean,
Crazy.
you can't even get it into an apartment for that much. That
No.
would be paired with down payment assistance. We have a few different programs we can use, but I typically use the Colorado Chafa program, and I'm listed as a preferred lender on their website. And again, people don't have to save 10 or 20% down or even 5% down if it's within your budget and we can get the monthly payment where it's comfortable for those buyers. Like I'm pre-approving a couple right now and they're paying $2,600 in rent and we're under contract for a mortgage that's going to be like 2670 a month. So just $70 over what they're paying in rent. And they also got some seller proceeds to go towards closing costs. So yeah, just those low money down loans, if you can afford it, if it's within your budget, there's no timing the market. You just want to get in and start building that appreciation and start building that wealth so that 5 years from now, instead of having had spent, $180,000 on $2,600 a month over the course of 5 years, I do a mortgage analysis where I lay all this out side by side. So yeah, this couple would have paid like $179,000 in 5 years in rent. And now we're getting them into a house where they're going to grow, assuming pretty low appreciation rates, even because the market is slowing down. But even at those lower appreciation rates, they're still going to build like 100+ thousand in 5 years. So I mean, even if we save every penny, extra penny we would never be able to save. You're not $100,000 in 5 years. You're not going to make that in the stock market. You're not going to make that in investments. And so that's why it's so important for people to get in. And as long as it's comfortable and start building that wealth.
Yes, that is something that is a mainstay in real estate is that as real estate agents, we wholeheartedly believe that the best way for financial wealth and financial freedom later in life is to get in early and get started building that equity so that you have it to rely on when you need it most. I work with a lot of move up buyers. I work with a lot of people doing income producing properties, whether it's an Airbnb on their property or if it's a second home, vacation rental, or if it's a casita in the backyard that they rent out. So, with that in mind, do you tailor your services to meet the unique needs of some of these home buyers?
Yes, absolutely. So if they're, want to do an income producing property, then that will require more down payment money if they don't plan on living in the house. But you're also only required to live in the house for 1 year. And then after that 1 year, you can do what you want with the home, whether that be rent it out or turn it into an Airbnb. So of course, we're going to help people buy second homes. We have ADU programs. We have one closed construction loan. So if you found a property you'd like to fix up, it needs some TLC, then we can wrap the fix up cost into that loan. And we would have to get contractors involved and things like that. But whatever, we could roll $50,000 of fix up cost into the one purchase loan and then that money be applied towards the fix up. So, and then we also have reverse mortgages for our seniors, people who are on fixed income, then they can get into a mortgage where they're not having a monthly payment. And Fairway has a really awesome reverse mortgage department. Um, so all of those things are going to be geared towards those clients and what their goals are. And that's what we're going to find out in our initial call when we do that discovery call with them, is find out exactly where they are and meet them at that point.
Yes. So I was thinking, you guys also do a bridge loan program, or you have access to a bridge loan program that will help some of my people that are in a little bit trickier spot where they need to sell, but then they also don't want to lose out on this house because it is a buyer's market and there are buyers everywhere looking for what they want right now. So what is that program about? Tell me a little bit about that product.
Well, we have about five bridge loans, and Fairway actually started doing an in-house bridge loan now. And I'm hosting a class on one of our programs tomorrow. I do a monthly class for realtors, and so that's our class this month. And basically, people have equity in their house that's not liquidated, and yet they want to be able to get into the next house and apply that equity towards the down payment. And so the bridge loan will allow them to do that. They're going to, help them pull the money from the departing residence, apply that towards the down payment on the next house so they don't have to wait for that house to sell or go under contract. And so it just eases, a lot of stress for these move up buyers who it's a little bit slower for oh no, my house, the other phone's ringing, but it's a little slower for sellers right now. And so those buyers don't have to wait and think like, oh my gosh, where am I gonna live? The timing can get really tricky when you're doing that. So the bridge loan takes all that pressure off. And then depending on the program, they typically give you about 6 months to sell the departing residence and after you've bought and are all moved into the next home.
Wow.
So it
Wow.
takes a lot of
I
pressure off.
love that flexibility. I think we have a client together actually right now that might qualify for something like that, that would really help our client just ease some of that stress and get right in and not have to find temporary living situation. And yeah, so we'll talk about
Storage
that later.
and moving twice. It helps prevent
Yeah.
it from the moving twice. And
Oh,
yeah.
it's exhausting. It's exhausting. All right, share with me a brief example or a story of how you helped a buyer through a challenging situation.
Um, well, most recently I helped some buyers that bought a couple years ago, and their commute from home to work was too long because I do live up here on the Western Slope. I grew up in the Front Range, lived many years in San Diego, which is how I met you, and then ended up moving back to Colorado, but over here on the Western Slope, which is a completely different vibe, but we've
Yes.
grown, we've grown accustomed to it. And anyways, this couple, this young family, they were from a different area and they just could not, it's hard. It's like these mountain towns, and when it snows, I mean, semis are falling into the river and
Yep.
they just could not handle that commute. So they've given up on their beautiful, single family residence, and they ended up buying a townhouse closer, a condo rather, closer to where they work,
Yeah.
to cut down that commute time. But because these areas are higher price points, they had to go into a smaller attached property. So it was a really difficult situation for them taking on HOA fees. Initially, we had them pre-approved on FHA, and then this is a tricky pain point with condos, is that if they're not FHA approved, you can really get stuck in a hard place. But I was able to flip them and get them approved on conventional financing, and get them in. And so, yeah, we were just able to fix that. And, also there were some hard things that had to do with the sale of the other property. So the realtor team and I, the buyer's agent, the seller's agent, and I, we all pitched in some of our funds to help get their cash to close so that they felt comfortable and had moving costs and some money for their immediate needs. And so that felt really good because I just felt, I get really attached to my buyers and just felt like, okay, I need them to feel financially safe, not only moving into a lesser of a property, into a condo, but also having the funds to, have their moving costs and money for Christmas and that kind of thing. So I was really glad we could all team up and be sure that they had those funds. And they
I
just
love that
closed
you did that.
last week.
That is why we do this. It's not just for the paycheck because we work tirelessly for the paycheck and we work for free until those deals closed. But we do it for these families and we do it for their homes and we do it for their kids and we do it for their peace of mind. And we have the flexibility in some of our concessions or our price structure or our fees, and we can make miracles happen. And it feels so cool to know that we all get to partner to do that. So,
Yeah, it really helped them
uh,
out a ton. Thank you for
yay.
asking.
Of course, I love sharing these kind of things. So that kind of answers my next question, which was how do you help and ensure a smooth, stress-free process for clients? So if there's something else you'd like to share about that, I would love to know.
Oh, thanks. Great question. I mean that last deal that it doesn't normally get that stressful, but
Yeah.
I just feel like, we can't be text messaging about a home loan or
No.
it's too big of a deal
Yeah.
to communicate text message. So I feel with my many years of customer service in different areas, I just am very communicative. I am going to give updates over the phone every single week. If there are any issues that come up, like, hey, this condo isn't FHA approved, everybody's going to find out immediately. So we can all come to the table and figure out a game plan and really protect those buyers' earnest money that they put down on that contract. So every step of the way, there are many outs for that buyer during the course of the contract. And me and my realtor partners and we're going to be sure that we're protecting their money every step of the way and just really over the top, communicating good news quickly and bad news even more quickly.
Yes. Yes, very much so. And after doing several transactions with you, I can completely attest to the fact that we are very quick. Anytime that we possibly can, we are just on top of it no matter what. Um, that is a fun question to kind of land with. And now I want to know your top tips. What are you going to tell new buyers or people thinking about buying for maybe 4 or 5 different tips that they need to start thinking about now so they're ready to buy in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days?
Awesome. Yeah, just to get with your, with trustworthy mortgage advisor as soon as you can. You don't want to find the house that you love and scramble on the loan side of things. So even if that's 2, 3, 4 months ahead of when you're actually going to be actively looking for a home and making offers on homes, my biggest tip is to get with a mortgage advisor, somebody who you can see their testimonials, see what their
Mhm.
past clients are saying about them, what their past realtor partners are saying about them. And, so I'm going to do that discovery call, look at their money in the bank, their credit score, and their cash flow. And those are the three things that we look at to qualify them for a home. But that's not black and white because interest rates are changing every day. Home prices, are changing, but also something might have HOA fees, even if it is a detached property compared to something that isn't. So we do need to I lay out all the numbers in a mortgage analysis so they can see, and I maybe break down 3 to 4 different price points. And then whenever they see a home that they like, they text it to me and I run the numbers specific to that house. And also, once or twice a month, I'm updating all of my pre-approvals and saying, okay, the market improved an eighth percent. So here's what your buying power is today. And then of course advising them on the best way to optimize that credit score. And we do have a whole credit department, so they can help us with trickier issues. But typically I go in and do my own credit simulators and run, hey, if we want to improve this buyer's score from a 620 up to a 660, where they're going to get better interest rates and perhaps even a better loan, not always, but sometimes, then I can run a simulator and say, hey, how do I get to a 660 in 30 days and print like a PDF with all the exact steps and how much money it will take to get that borrower's score increased. And so that's huge. That's something, I do all the time for people. I had a young couple in their 60s who bought their first home
Yes.
with the VA benefit, 100% financing. Literally, I think their cash to close was under $2,000. And I had to work with them for 6 months because they had zero credit. They never used credit. And they're like, we're getting penalized for not having credit. I was like, well, yeah, but let me teach you how to make credit work for you. So we got them, each a secured credit card. They did have to keep that open for 6 months. We got, their score was mid 700s after that 6 months, and they closed on a house on their first house last month. So,
Yay!
I mean, these are people I was talking to back in March, April,
Yeah,
and they closed on their home in October. So,
that's amazing.
yeah. So that I really love, helping people with their credit, explaining how it does work, and really there are some benefits to our credit system in this country, and so I want to lay those out for people so that they're not afraid of it.
Yes, my goodness, yes, because there is. So, what are those common misconceptions that your clients or my clients might have about the things that we offer or about anything that you think comes up pretty regularly? Because we want to dispel some of those ahead of time before they end up with you or I or searching for a house and then feeling disappointed and upset. Like, what are those misconceptions that we can help them address now?
Yeah, that they don't need the 20% down.
Huge.
That's huge. Can literally get them in for 100% financing. And then as far as credit, just how, again, how to make, I've written a blog on this, so I'm happy to share that link with you too.
Yeah.
But people think like if I'm using credit, then I'm going to get in debt, and then I shouldn't be penalized for not having credit. But the truth is we have to verify that you can make your payments on time consistently every month. So that's really one of the biggest pieces to being able to get a mortgage is we have to verify that there is history that you are going to make your payments on time.
Yep.
And so that credit history is so, so important. You never want to have 30 or 60-day or 90-day lates because if you do have more than 30-day lates on your credit report, you most likely will have to wait a year to not have any lates. So that's
Wow.
huge, making those payments on time or even early, like, or setting it up just on automatic payment. So you're never going to miss a payment. Um, and then, if you do get a credit line for $1,000, you never want to max yourself out. So you don't want to borrow that whole $1,000. A good rule of thumb is to borrow about 30% of available credit. So if you do have a credit card with a trade line of $1,000, try to keep that balance around 300, 400, and that's really going to optimize your score. And then lastly, there was one more I was just thinking, but yeah, just making the payments on time, not maxing out your credit score, and then if you have a car payment, if you are in the market to buy a car, I definitely recommend buying the house first.
Hmm.
Because people have, like I took an app loan application last week and they had an $800 car payment.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, well, that translates to $150,000 in buying power on a house.
Yes.
So now you only
Yes.
qualify for 250, where if you didn't have that 800 monthly car payment, you would qualify for 400. So we
Huge.
do everything looking at the monthly cash flow or income and then the monthly payments you have going out. So you just really want to think, about buying a new car, I recommend trying to get into a home first and maybe looking at used cars instead of a brand new
Hmm.
car. And my last tip about car payments, if you do have less than 10 car payments, not counting a lease, so this would just be on, a car that you've purchased and are in a 5-year loan or something. If you have less than 10 car payments, we can actually remove that liability. So that's kind of a little
Yay!
hack.
That's amazing. Those are
Yeah,
fantastic tips. Totally fantastic tips. Especially for
thanks.
our first-time home buyers who do just sometimes buy a new car and then they're like, wait, so now what do I do? We're like, hold on, let's talk to the lender because either she's going to advocate that we sell it or we're going to find some way to get that payment moved here and there. All right, last question before we wrap up. What kind of ongoing support can people expect from you after a deal has closed?
Well, it's not one and done with me. So I want to, earn your business, earn your trust.
Yep.
Hopefully, not to toot my own horn, but I get really top-notch reviews because I'm walking these people every step of the way through their fears and their unknowns of getting to their closing table and closing on that house. Um, and I want them to know that even after closing, I'm always there to help them make their first payment because all
Yep.
the paperwork hasn't gone through typically when the first payment is due, which is 45 to 60 days out from closing. So that's another thing that new buyers don't know. If I close a home in December, my first payment's not even until February. So that's a long time for you to kind of build up your savings, go buy furniture, things like that. So I'm going to help them make their first payment, and then I want to do a yearly checkup minimally to just be sure that once you've been in that loan for a year, that still is the best program, the best interest rate for you. So I like to do those yearly checkups, and I just kind of consider myself like a debt manager. I want you to come to me with any credit questions. We do work hard to protect our buyers' information and advise them to do credit opt-out so you don't get a ton of junk mail. But after, if a lot of them don't do it. And after
Mhm.
closing on a house, you're going to get a lot of mailers that are posing to be Fairway Mortgage. And it looks like, oh, we can get you a 3.5% interest rate. And so a lot of my past clients will just send me screenshots of, hey, is this legit? Is this
Yeah.
really you? Um, but yeah, we do advise for you to opt out so you don't get all those. And then
Yes.
every year, we're just checking that you have the best interest rate, whether or not we can remove the mortgage insurance because you do have private mortgage insurance until you've grown to 20% equity. So we want to be sure, like as soon as you hit that 20% equity, that we're getting that removed by either refinancing you or on a conventional loan, they'll just remove it and we can help them all through that process. But I just want them to really know that I do communicate that they can always come to me for any of these types of questions.
Ah, they're never alone. You don't just drop the ball. I love it. It's one of the
No.
things that keeps me coming back to working with you is that we do take such good care of our people and it's reciprocated. So our people take care of us and we take care of them and we keep this relationship ongoing. And that's how it's supposed to be. So, thank you so, so much for taking the time to have a conversation with me. I know that we are both very busy moms, and this matters. So, I can't wait to share this with the rest of my people. And hopefully, you have a wonderful, wonderful Christmas and holiday. And in the new year, we get to help a bunch more families get into their homes.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the wonderful community that you're building. And it's just so inspiring to see your online presence. And I'm so honored to be able to work with you.
Ditto, right back at you. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Rachel.
Merry Christmas. Take
Merry
care.
Christmas.
Bye-bye.